Hi everyone, my name is Ali, and in this talk I will present to you a way to quantify biases based on study participants. In this case, we rely heavily on the country of the study participants. We did this as a self-reflection on the community, measuring how Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic is FAccT. Why are we doing this? As you may have seen, there are numerous news articles showing AI biases in recent years, and at first they were found in your frivolous applications, for example, FaceApp, Instagram filters, or Twitter. However, it can be a real problem once it is in production and used as a part of public policy, for example, in passport checker or exam surveillance software. Now, one of the root causes is biases encoded in the data sets. As you can see here, even ImageNet, one of the most frequently used datasets for computer vision models, has biases. This is also acknowledged in this paper by Fei Li, the original author of ImageNet. Now the question is, can we quantify these biases? Uh, in 2010, Hendrich and his colleagues coined the term WEIRD to capture biases in study participants in the psychology community. WEIRD stands for Western, educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. Now, of course, WEIRD does not capture all sensitive variables, for example, gender, ethnicity, or age, but it's a good starting point. So, to answer the original question, can we quantify these biases? Yes, we can. In this study, we are measuring biases on FAccT, because FAccT is a conference that is focusing on fairness, accountability, and transparency. Thus, we are interested in seeing how the community reflects that. We are interested in the following research questions. The first question is, how weird is the FACT conference? And then, as a comparison, we want to know how FACT and CHI conferences compare in terms of weirdness. For this study, we collected 416 papers from FACT between 2018 and 2022, and then we manually went through the papers to filter them based on our exclusion criteria, and we ended up with 128 papers to analyze. As a comparison, we also included 1076 papers provided by the study on CHI by Linson and his colleagues in 2021. As mentioned before, we are quantifying biases based on datasets or participants used in the study, and we use the following 5 variables to do so. For the first variable, Western, we use a binary variable based on Clash of Civilizations, a thesis by Samuel Huntington, where he divided countries based on cultural and historical factors. Western countries, in this case, are those rooted in the tradition of ancient Greece and Rome. And all the EU countries are also categorized as Western. Note that Western does not capture everything. For example, Japan, South Korea, Chile, and Argentina can be categorized as EARD, as in educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic, but they are not Western. For the educated variable, we are using mean years of schooling for country C based on UNDP Human Development Report in 2022. For the industrialized variable, we take the gross domestic product per capita based on World Bank's data, adjusted by purchasing power parity and in current international dollar to make the countries comparable. For the rich variable, we take the gross national income per capita based on World Bank's data, again adjusted by purchasing power parity and in current international dollar to make the countries comparable. And finally, we use the political rights score as defined by the Freedom House Political Rights. Now, we need to combine the values from all the participant countries in the datasets. That's why we define these 5 scores. For the Western score, since it's based on a binary variable, we use the following formula to take the average or the expected value of how Western a conference is from all sampled countries. This will result in categories such as exclusively Western, exclusively non-Western, or somewhere in between. For the educated score, we take the Kendall-Taus rank correlation between the papers ratio and the educated value for all countries. Kendall-Taus rank correlation is measured on a scale that varies from -1 to +1. For the other three variables, we replicated the same method that we did for the educated score. Using the aforementioned methodology, we now want to answer the first research question, which is how weird is the FACT conference? We find that most FACT papers use participants exclusively from Western countries, as shown in the table. Moreover, we can see in the data that 63% of the analyzed papers select participants exclusively from the US. On the eared side, we find that FACT papers are biased to participants from eared countries, as shown by the positive values of the Kendall rank correlations between the ratio of the paper with measures of educated, industrialized, rich, and democratic. The confidence intervals are generated from 10,000 bootstrap samples. Now, we come to the second research question, which is how FACT and CHI conferences compare in terms of weirdness. As shown in this table, both FACT and CHI papers primarily select participants from Western countries, while FACT being more Western than CHI. FACT and CHI papers are biased to participants from eared countries, with FACT being less eared than CHI. We also provided the confidence intervals generated from the 10,000 bootstrap samples in this table. One difference between FACT and CHI is that FACT authors sometimes use off-the-shelf datasets. And in this case, FACT authors mainly use off-the-shelf datasets from the US, while datasets collected by the authors, for example from interviews or surveys, have a more localized representation. Some examples of the most frequently used off-the-shelf datasets are the Adult Income dataset, Compass Recidivism, and the American Community Survey. Another finding in our study is that papers produced by authors from multiple countries are more likely to sample from non-Western countries. And this difference is more apparent on CHI, possibly due to the sample size difference between FACT and CHI. Why do all these results matter? As we are aiming for a more inclusive community to encourage fairer representations, we can see several practical implications based on our findings. First of all, we should make reproducibility and data statements mandatory by requiring authors to report the geographic breadth of their participant samples, and in turn, aspiring to providing more diverse off-the-shelf datasets. Second, we should champion for author diversity. The results from our analysis show promises that such diversity can help make conferences less weird. And finally, we should encourage cross-country online research methods. We could arrange sessions or workshops focused on online research methods and their potential for studying geographically diverse samples. And finally, the long-term goal is to embed these metrics on conference or journal websites to promote diversity and more inclusive environment. If you are interested in our study, you can go to the following website at social-dynamics.net/weird/platform, or you can scan the QR code to see what we are working on as a follow-up of this study. Thank you very much.